That's the crazy thing about parents is that somehow they forget that they were children, right? And I mean, part of it is that we don't want our kids to make the same mistakes that we did, right? I mean, I think
Going to.
that's right on certain things. But on the big
Yeah,
things, I
sure.
feel like that's why I'm more vocal about certain things because, I had some horrible shit happen and I want to make sure that you don't have those things happen, but I also need to give you the room to be able to make your own decisions. I mean, my parents used to say to me, well, we've made these mistakes. Do what we tell you because that way you won't make them too. And I'm like, I want to make my own mistakes, right? That's how you learn. It's not by someone telling you. You have to figure
Uh,
it out for yourself.
yeah, I mean, everyone just has their own way of doing everything. That's why I was never good at math because they would only tell you to do it one way. And I was like, well, I can't figure out that one way.
Okay, well now there's like 16 different ways to do
Yeah,
things and I'm like,
whatever.
and that makes it more difficult for me, honestly. I like the one way when it comes to math, but not in real life. Welcome to this week's episode of Her Unshakeable Confidence. I'm Simone Knego.
Yeah, I'm Olivia Knego.
So, if you're a mom, have you ever really thought about, okay, my kids are growing up and then they're out of the house, and what do I do with my life? Right? And that's the transition I'm in right now, right? I still have one kid at home, but I swear she works 4 days a week. And even when she's home, she's not home for very long. So it's like a very weird transition in my life where I feel like, wow, I get to make choices for myself again. Now, obviously, Liv, you don't get this because you get to make choices for yourself every day. Although, with the burden of law school, can I call it a burden?
Yeah, I
Then, I
mean, I
mean,
don't know, but like then someone's gonna be like, it's a privilege. Yeah, it's a
no,
privilege
it's a
and a burden.
privilege. It's a privilege and a burden, like most
And a
things in life,
burden.
right? Right?
Yeah.
That you don't necessarily have control of a lot of things. And that's kind of like the state that I'm feeling in right now that I like, for example, Noah came home for the weekend, like
Whoa,
kind
he
of.
did?
Yeah,
Why?
he had to get his clothes for so he didn't bring any professional clothes with him. And so
Okay.
they have this like career fair coming up, so he needs to, you know, dress
Oh, okay.
professionally.
No, lit.
And so
Yeah. Awesome.
basically he had t-shirts and shorts with him. So he's like, "Oh, can you mail them to me?" I said, "If I mail them to you, you're going to have to take them to the dry cleaner." So might be easier to just drive home than deal with that. So he did. He drove home. He got home late. And of course, procrastinator central. He's like, I'm done with class at 3:45, so I'll leave after that. He left at like 6:30. He got home at
Bruh.
like 11. I'm like,
That's so funny.
why have you not left yet? Okay. But that's his personality, right? And so then he said, I'm just going to drive back right away on Saturday. He went and got a haircut. And then your dad convinced him not to drive back right away on Saturday and to leave this morning. He said, okay, I'm going to leave at like 4:30 or 5. Guess what time he left?
8.
Pretty close, 7:30.
My God.
Now, he was up at 5,
Yeah,
but
like why didn't he leave and get in the car?
because
And okay,
he was
whatever.
scrolling. He wasn't ready for it yet. Like, I feel like this is the stage that we're in. Like, it's like this, like, let's scroll everything. I don't know. So, but it was great to have him back for a couple of nights. But, even then, it still feels like the house is empty, right? Like, Millie's at work tonight. And it's the first time actually she's asked me in a long time, would you mind doing my laundry? I was like, yeah, bring it down. I'll do it. But it's this weird stage for me where I can start making, huh?
You can come live with me.
I'm coming to stay with you for a
I
couple of
would like
days.
someone to do my laundry.
Laundry? Yeah, do your laundry and cook meals. Yeah, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Vacuum.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'll vacuum.
nice.
I'll vacuum when I'm there this week.
I think my vacuum might be broken.
Oh my
God.
gosh, why would you say that?
I think something's just stuck in it.
Okay, well, I can probably fix that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
See,
But
this is the thing. You're never going to stop being a mom. That's what
no,
keeps you going.
yeah, I mean, it is a huge part of my identity, but it's not the only part. And that's, I think, the message out there is that we have to figure out as moms, if you're a mom. So I guess this is kind of this message is specific towards moms is that we have to go beyond the title of mom, which is an honor to be, but also we have to know ourselves too, right? Like I think so often that we get caught up in one thing and we don't know how to do anything else. Not that we don't know how to do anything else, but we're like, we don't know what to do when that stage of our life is coming to a close, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking back the other day of all the different stages with you guys, like the baby stage and just making sure like you didn't kill yourselves as toddlers and stick your fingers in the socket. And now the fact that you're all full-fledged humans, it's very weird, right? I've spent 30 years of my life raising children, and now that stage is almost done. 30 years is a really long time. So fortunately, I haven't lost my identity because I started doing other things. But I think for a lot of women, that is, they don't know how to move beyond that because that's what they've done. And obviously, we love that stage, but it's like, how do we help women say, okay, like, this is not sad. This is like a happy thing that your kids are grown. And like, as a kid, what would you say in terms of when you go off to college, right? For moms who are like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with my life.
That you got to figure it out because your kid's not going to want to carry you through it.
Yeah.
Like to be mean about it, not to be mean, but like to be a little mean. Like this is your kid's first taste of independence, and I don't think they want you to taint that image for them by
Mm.
like being pretty incessant about calling 24/7 or the tracking or just the making sure you visit regularly, etc.
Yeah, I think you should do it because you want to and not because you have
Yeah,
to, like across the board. And I think that's true with your kids as well. Like I still track you guys. I'm not like, oh my gosh. But sometimes instead of actually messaging you, I'll be like, oh, is she at home or is she at school? Because if she's at school, I'm not going to bother her. Right. So it's not a tracking like, oh my gosh, where were you? It's more of like, oh, can I bother you right now or not?
yeah.
I feel like it's a respectful tracking. Is there such a thing?
I guess. I mean, maybe.
But you track me too. You have me on there. Emma tracks me all the
I
time.
track everybody.
She'll be like, "Where? Oh my gosh, you just got Chinese food, right? I want Chinese food." I'm like, well, you're in Wales, okay? Like, you're not going to have the food that I'm eating.
I mean, and she
There's no
said, yeah,
comment for
like,
that.
yeah, no comment there.
But I think it's a struggle, right? I think it's a struggle as kids. So, how do you balance that? Because I see this with so many moms where they want to keep their finger on the pulse, but
Gary's
kids
like,
have to grow, right? Kids have to be able to spread their wings and take off. And if you're constantly saying, you need to do this or you need to do that, it just doesn't work.
yeah. I also think not like there's two sets of kids, but there almost is. When you get to college, especially that first year, it's like the people that contact their parents at a bare minimum, maybe like once or twice a week, or people that text their mom like every, day, multiple times a day to like figure out what's going on and say hi and be wanting to like, talk to them because they're friends. And you definitely want to be in the latter half where you're like, your kid is reaching out to you and um regularly and like seeking advice from you, whether that's like how to do laundry or like, how to make friends, honestly.
Yeah, that was one of the funniest things when Ari went off to school and he when I dropped him off, we went through all the things that he needs to do. We went into the laundry room and he was probably there for like 5 or 7 days and he calls me. He's like, he FaceTimes me. Which one is the washer and which one is the dryer? And
For
I
real.
was like, okay, like
But like
this
that's
is
the good thing though. Like you want your kid to like you would rather your kid use you than Google because that means they're still reaching out and
yeah,
connecting with you.
100%. So I think that's a really good thing. But I think as a mom, I have to remind myself I can't be that overbearing, which I don't think I ever was. Like if you ask me what classes you're taking, I have no clue, but good or bad. But I think that there's some moms that have to know every detail of their child's life to a detriment to the child. And so that leads to the point where the child doesn't want to reach out to them because they feel like they're constantly just the parent is just focused on their every move instead of letting them try to create a
Yeah.
life.
And I think family, when especially when you're in that like newly found independence, young adults, especially like both the first time going to college and I would say the first time like you're living off campus too. Um family be I mean not for me, but family can become very easily like to feel like a burden, and it's one of those things that you actually like do have, well you don't actually have to, but like customarily you do have to keep them around even if it's like a burden in your life. So you as a parent want to aim to not be the burden in
Mm.
your young kids or young adult kids life, because you know like there I have so many other things going on. I don't want to just like have, oh I had to call mom and dad on my checklist of things to do. Like that's not how I think of our relationship, and I don't think that's how like parents should want their relationship with their kids to be.
But for some
Like it
parents,
should
it
be
is
more of like
that,
a
right?
natural
Yeah. And
thing.
no, it should be. But I think that if you're in a situation where you demand certain things or you're like, this has to be this way, then I think it's very difficult to have that kind of relationship.
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
I,
of course. I think it's, you know, like kids don't, everyone learns by their own experiences. And I think it's just like, you know, you have your kid has to figure it out by themselves during that time in their lives. There's just, you know, I've been around for so long now, 22 years, almost 23. But I will say, like, I feel like the most growing of my life happened during my college years. Like
when
if
you,
you like those 4 years of my life, like the person I was freshman year versus the person I ended up senior year, are like very different.
oh, 100%. I'm curious, like, your biggest lesson during freshman year. Like, what was that thing? Because again, when I look back in time, I feel like I did too much for you guys, right? I always did your laundry. I always cooked everything. I mean, you obviously you learned how to cook, but like I did a lot. And I remember like with Emma, her calling saying, "How do I make out a check?" I'm like, "Okay, great. I have failed as a parent." Not in a negative way, but I'm like, "Oh, I did way too much." So I'm curious if you can think of like what was your biggest lesson that you learned in your first year away? Because I mean, you go from
Honestly, like not everybody was raised like me. I think that's like the biggest lesson I learned.
mm, in in
Just
in what
literally in
way?
all regards. Like not only are people like such different like beliefs, whether that's like political or religious backgrounds, or just like the most basic thing, like do you keep bread in the fridge or not? But
Where do you
it's just
keep your
like
potatoes? Where do you keep your onions? Okay, interesting.
I think like that I feel like was the biggest. It's or like people don't have the same relationship with their families that I do, and you know because you're spending it's the kind of the first time you're spending such you're in such close quarters with not family. Like yeah, you do summer camp or whatever, but like that is a lot of time, especially if you live on campus in the dorms. You're with people 24/7 that were not raised like you, because like in the end of the day, my siblings and I, we all shared such a unique experience growing up with you as our parents, as everyone else does with their parents, because
Right.
every that's a unique experience. And for the first time you're in a situation where it's like, oh, everyone was taught to do even the little things just a little differently, or
Mm.
you're like, whoa, why weren't you taught that, period?
Yeah.
Like picking your hair out of the shower drain, or like
Yeah.
cleaning the toilet seat.
That is a really interesting thing when you,
Yeah.
I mean, even Ari was saying that this year. I mean, he's a junior and he was saying his roommate sometimes doesn't flush the toilet. Like, what the heck? Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Or just I think it's also like for me the first time I was exposed to people with like different like I don't want to say I honestly like yeah like different income and class backgrounds than I have, and like what people were willing to spend money on for like weekend activities and what they weren't.
mm,
I think that was like a very big learning experience for me as well.
I think that happens as, I call you a full-fledged adult, but adult, but I think that happens as a full-fledged adult as well as you get out of school and stuff and you start traveling with other people. and you see the people who just say, let's just split everything, or the people who have to go down the
Yeah.
check and say, well, you got this glass of wine and you got this, so you owe $57 and I owe 43, right? And whatever, I'm happy to accommodate whatever,
Yeah,
but I
and
think
yeah.
a lot of times it's, as I've gotten older, the thought process is things come back around, right? That it all works out in the end in terms of when
Yeah,
you're
I
talking
mean,
about
me too.
financial stuff. Like, I'm not going to get upset about something, really little. Like, it's just not worth it. But, when you're in college, it's a big deal, right? You have a limited budget. And I think that's an eye opening thing too when you go off to college and you see kids that have like an endless budget, and
Yeah.
you did not have an endless budget. And some people have zero budget. Some people have to work from day one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like the biggest learning lesson of freshman year. Gosh, I haven't thought about my freshman year in a while. Um, was just like learning to get along and learning like how to navigate those kind of situations. Also, like I don't know, learning how to make friends, which is like weird because what do you do in high school? But it's
It's a different
different.
set. It's different because you're now kind of an adult making friends, right? Versus, I think in middle school and high school, you have very few choices in terms of who you're going to be friends with. Like, right? There's already cliques and
Yeah.
groups. And then when you go to college, you get to find your people and you get to decide, like, do I want to do this? What club do I want to join? What kind of people do I want to hang out with? Like, I can
Well, I think
decide my future.
the people thing, especially, at least for me, that was like kind of the first time I figured out, oh, there are people I don't want to hang out with, like
Mm.
after I'd already become friends with them. And like I'd had to navigate that situation a couple times. And I don't think it like ever actually gets easier. Um, I think maybe you just get better at weeding out people in that initial meeting.
I
Um,
mean, I've had that as an older adult. I've had that too.
yeah. But that was definitely like in college, like the first time I really experienced like that sort of thing of not like friendship. I guess friendship breakup is the best way to say that. I don't
Mm,
know. Or just like,
yeah. And I think it's hard as parents because we feel like did we prepare you enough for this? Are you really ready to make all these decisions by yourself? Are you going to make good decisions,
yeah,
right? Are
but
you going to
like,
make good choices?
what changes? You're already like, I don't know. I think
You
that
still
if you
come home at
have,
night. When you're in high school,
I
most nights you
guess,
still come home, and so I can still check in with you and really look into your eyes and see, okay, yeah, she's good,
but
right?
like
And
my
then
my decision making ability is not changing from the day I leave from college to the day after. Like
yeah,
your kid is either going to be making good decisions or they're not, and you know,
but now the door is wide open. Right before it
yeah,
wasn't. So you can make a decision. So decisions that you didn't get to make before, now you have access to all of the decisions. So that's why I think it's a little bit different because parents still have some sort of, and I want to use the word control, but I want to use it lightly, but some sort of input when you're still in high school, right? I mean, I can still say, you're not going to go. And I don't think I ever said that, but I think that when you're in college, you don't have, and I think that's scary for parents because you don't
yeah.
have that say anymore. Like, there's a party on Friday night, I don't even know about it when you're in college and you're going. But in high
I,
school, there's still this, like, you know, there's still chatter. There's still parents who say, "Oh, did you know about this?" Like, again, even with Millie having people at the house a week ago or whatever, that you hear about it from other people. Where in college, you're
yeah.
never going to hear a word about it.
But I think like with that, obviously, like I know it's hard to have that peace of mind, but you also have to like that balance that with like not putting that burden onto your kids and just like also like I know parents don't want their kids to do all of the things that we do in college, okay? But like don't be naive to it and also don't expect them A to tell you about it, but also and then B don't go and judge them either. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I think as we someone said on the podcast recently, like everyone was in their 20s once, like everyone had not the crazy college experience, but like we all know or at least have assumptions of what that is like, especially being, a young adult and like having that taste of freedom for the first time. And it's like your kid is going to make the decisions by themselves, and like they're going to fail and rise to the occasion by themselves. And I think it's like up to them. And you can still obviously be concerned, but when you put that concern onto them, it really isolates them, and it makes them not want to tell you things, because it's like, oh great, and now I'll have my mom breathing down my neck too.
Yeah. I think that's why it is honestly better to really make that shift a little bit earlier and understanding. So I think of Millie now as a senior and thinking how, in what, 9 months, 10 months, she'll be at college. So why is the decisions she's making today any different than that, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
so close that if she's going to go to a party, she's going to go to a party, right? She's going to,
Well,
and it's like my job as a parent, I truly believe, is to make sure that my kids feel comfortable enough with me to tell me things, and also to really make good choices about, yeah, we're going to a party. There's going to be alcohol, and I would never get in a car with someone, and I would never drive, right? There's
yeah.
always an Uber. So,
I mean, because nothing does really change. I knew a girl in high school that, like, she literally had been building her quote unquote college wardrobe, which was like all of her, like, not parent approved clothing that she was going to wear once
mm,
she got to college. And it's like, yeah, that's not a great, you don't have a good relationship. Not, I don't want to say that, but your kids shouldn't have to hide things like that from you. And it's like, you cannot approve, but you have to know that your kid is going to go to a party and they're going to wear clothes that you probably don't approve of at some point in your life. And I'm sure that you probably did the same thing to your parents.
100%. And that's the crazy thing about parents, is that somehow they forget that they were children, right? And I mean, part of it is that we don't want our kids to make the same mistakes that we did, right? I mean,
But we're
I think
going
that's
to.
right on certain things. But on the big
Yeah,
things, I
sure.
feel like that's why I'm more vocal about certain things, because, I had some horrible shit happen, and I want to make sure that you don't have those things happen. But I also need to give you the room to be able to make your own decisions. I mean, my parents used to say to me, well, we've made these mistakes, do what we tell you, because that way you won't make them too. And I'm like, I want to make my own mistakes, right? That's how you learn. It's not by someone telling you. You have to figure it
Yeah.
out for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, everyone just has their own way of doing everything. That's why I was never good at math, because they would only tell you to do it one way. And I was like, well, I can't figure out that one way.
Okay, well, now there's like 16 different ways to do things,
Yeah,
and I'm like, and
whatever.
that makes it more difficult for me, honestly. I like the one way when it comes to math, but not in real life.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's obviously, I mean, it's scary on both ends. Like, as a kid going to college, it's not like it's an easy decision to go live in a dorm, whether that be in a different state or a different city, or even just like, the same city but a different part of town than your parents. Like, it's a scary thing to do. And I'm sure as parents, it's also equally as scary, but it's just like the first big step in independence that kids normally get in
Yeah.
their lives. And they need time to like explore it and, make choices for themselves.
Was there anything in high school that you did that you didn't want to tell me that you did?
Probably.
I'm just curious. I mean, definitely with my parents, there was I would hide a lot of things.
Okay, but the difference I think with you, okay, there probably was, and if there is, maybe I'll tell you one day. But I don't want to expose myself on a podcast. Okay, first of all, second of all, I think the big difference is, and like I know what you will get mad about.
Mm,
And you won't get mad about much, but there's things I
yeah.
didn't tell you. It's because it's not like, oh, I was afraid to tell her and she would never have gotten mad. It's like, no, I know she would have gotten at least like a little bit mad, or like a little bit that disappointed face, and it just would have been like a whole thing. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, but I really hope that like you guys can tell me all the things, even if I'm disappointed,
If
right? I mean, you get
I
disappointed in
felt
me
as
too.
though I could tell you anything that made a big impact, like that
Okay.
I actually was like suffering the consequences from. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I didn't
But
have
like
that
a lot of things
relationship.
I didn't want that like, oh well, that was dumb. luckily that like nothing stupid happened. Like I didn't want that comment. Like I already know that comment in my head. Like I didn't need to hear it.
Right. Well,
Like
I
one time,
prefer to
I'll tell you one
say,
time.
okay, okay.
One time in high school, I was going really, really, really fast around a corner, and Ari was in the car too, and we literally got onto two wheels.
Yeah, I would say that was dumb.
Yeah, and like, yeah, that was dumb. Like, I already knew that was dumb. Like, I should have slowed down, bro.
Right.
Like, I didn't need you
Did he
telling me that.
scream?
Oh my god, there were so many times in high school that he would tell Olivia, "Look out, Olivia, pay attention." It was funny. The other day, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of a good driver, and I was like, wait, no, you're not. And then like, I was driving my friends around, and they were like, oh, this is like what being in Mario Kart must feel like. I was like, oh shit, am I really not that good? Like, I
I
guess I'm
don't
not
think
a
you're
good
that
driver.
bad. I don't think
That's
you're
what I
that
was like.
bad.
Wait, I kind of think I'm a good
You
driver.
you get a little angry when you drive. I would say that. You like to express yourself a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's a good way of getting your anger out.
yeah, it's better like to use boxing or something like
Well,
that,
okay,
you know.
everyone has to
Hit
drive,
your
and everyone has to
pillow.
get your anger out. Not
Yeah.
you don't have to box, and you don't have to hit your pillow.
Okay, if you say so. Yeah, I think that I mean there was lots of things that I didn't tell my parents and some of them were significant and I think that that was because my I didn't have that kind of relationship with
Yeah,
them. And that was really something that I hope that I had with my kids as they grew up and as they're adults too, right? I want to make sure that
yeah.
that landline, there's not landlines. Okay, that, you know, whatever is always open so that you feel comfortable enough when something happens that you can say, okay, I need to talk to you about something. And, I really don't get mad about stuff. I mean, and I try not to be a smart ass. I mean, I know sometimes I am, but I try to really go for the empathy before being a smart ass or, being upset. So I think I'd probably be more upset if you just didn't tell me. I think that's the most important thing that I've realized over my life is that I it's truth before anything else. So I always used to say when you lie you get double the punishment because if something happened, just tell me because then we can deal with it. But
Yeah,
if you don't tell me, I can't help you fix it. And I'm a fixer. So,
that's you are.
yeah, that I am. So, what's your calendar say for today?
Give this all you've got.
Your calendar's been like very mild lately, giving us like really basic stuff.
Maybe
Give this
September's a mild month.
I don't
Okay.
know. I'm feeling like it is a little mild, but give this all you got. Yes, that's our goal. We have to give it all that we've got. So we do on a daily basis is making sure that we put it all out there so that we can change the world. That's what you're doing in law school.
Ugh. Do you want to know my latest is?
Yes.
Um, and now that we've recorded a couple podcasts in the new apartment, I can say there's a pattern. My cat Ellie, I can't tell if she hates it or loves it when I sit at my desk and record because she comes over, she's all over me. And at first I was like, oh, it's because I'm recording when Jack's not home. Nope, she does the same thing even when he's home. She'll like come and she'll stretch on me. The other day she even like jumped on here, but luckily we weren't recording. I was just working. Um, and like she's right. I don't know if you heard it earlier. She was
Yeah,
meowing in the
well,
background.
I can hear the meow. I can hear her little bell ringing.
Yeah,
I'm curious if it's just
she
what was
booped me.
that?
I get
What?
scared when when she boops me, like when she hits me with her hand. I get
She
scared.
boops you. What? She gonna claw you to death like a mountain
No, she
lion?
like obviously not, but
Yeah. So I'm curious if it's when you're talking or when you're just sitting there. Like Rosie, our smallest dog, when I go and sit in the office, she
mm-hmm.
gets so excited. Like as soon as she sees me pick up my computer, she runs to the office and lays under the
Why?
desk. I don't know, but she loves it there. And I don't record from there. So every time I come up here to record, they're like, they see the computer and they get excited. And then they see me go out the garage door because the recording room is over the garage. And she's like, oh, you left me. But she loves sitting under. I cannot understand it, but she
Yeah,
gets so excited to go
I don't
sit under the desk. I don't know.
I don't know either. Like that's
They're
like
they're
I
just
truly
weird.
don't know. And because I don't really sit at my desk a lot for work. I only sit at it when I'm using my monitor or when I'm recording. So I think
Hmm.
it's cute. I like the
Yeah,
attention.
Yeah, I know. Me too. So, thank you for joining us on this rambling episode of Her Unshakable Confidence. Always remember that you are unshakable.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Simone Knego and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.